Hi, welcome. Today we're going to talk about the Philidor Position. In the past, I lost a few games because of the lack of technique. And this isn't good because when you reach those kind of positions, normally you've already played for about 4 or even 5 hours. So what is the Philidor Position? Well, the Philidor Position is a theoretical endgame where a player has king, a rook, and a pawn, and the other has the king and the rook. Very important. This is an equal position if the white player plays correctly. What is important to know about this position? Well, in this position, black has played king to f4, and very important, you need to have your king near the passed pawn because you want to block the promotion. And you want to prevent the occupation of the frontal squares. So you don't want the king to reach a square in front of his pawn. So what is the best move here for the white player? Well, if you're thinking about this move, this isn't good. You're going to lose the game because if rook checks, the king will go in front of the pawn, and now he's threatening checkmate. For example, if you put the rook on f1, I can threaten again checkmate, and now the only move is this one, and you're going to lose the rook. So this isn't good. So how can you prevent the move king e3? Well, you just have one move. The move is rook to a3. And that's the fundamental idea on the Philidor position. You want to put the rook on the file to prevent the occupation of the frontal squares, and this king won't reach any square in front of the pawn. For example, if he advances the pawn now, because of the position of my king, it isn't possible to advance. So we are going to push the rook on the rank, and the idea will be to give infinite checks until your opponent accepts the draw. So let's see, for example, if he does that, check, and check, and check. Of course, if he does that, we repeat always. And if he tries to attack the rook, now you attack the pawn. And this is already equal because it's done. You're going to take the pawn and, well, king with king, it's draw because you don't have enough material to give checkmate. So, okay, for now, it's kind of easy. We want to put the rook on the third file, and we want to prevent the occupation of the squares in front of the passed pawn. What about if the black player loses a tempo? Well, we can play the rook to any square on the same file. So, for example, I can play the rook here if the king attacks. Okay, I can do, for example, this move with any problems. King again, and we will repeat. But if you want, you can push the rook to c3 too, and he can advance because we're going to do the same. And for example, let's see, rook again, let's push the rook, and I'm going to do something like that. This can be a plan, but, well, it's easy. We can lose the tempo. And if the rook plays here, we can take. And because of the fact that this king cannot go to the square in front of the pawn, this is draw. If you don't know how to draw this position, I suggest you to click on this link. We've already talked on another video about that. So this is completely equal. So, okay, and if the position is more complicated, well, for now, important. The Philidor position is an equal position where the king and rook can draw against king, rook, and pawn. Two important rules. We want to put the rook preventing the advance of the king. We don't want the king to go in front of his pawn. Second, we want to have our king on the direction of the pawn. But sometimes it isn't possible to do that. And the next position, it's kind of complicated because some international masters and even grandmasters, they failed to defend this position. And you, if you learn, you will be stronger than them. So let's go. So in this position, the white player has played king f6. And the problem is that if I do this move, he will push the king in front of the pawn. And this is already complicated because he is threatening checkmate. And of course, I can try to do this kind of stuff, but okay, rook, king, and probably rook a7. And if the king goes there, I can check, and this is lost because the pawn will continue to advance. It's very complicated to defend this position. So how will we play this with black? Well, the second idea probably you're thinking about is rook giving check. But the problem is that now if the pawn advances, I cannot play that because I'm going to lose with checkmate. And even if I play rook to a8, now rook h7 wins material and the game is lost. So here, this is an exception because the white king is well placed, and we will play a prophylactic move. If you don't know what is prophylaxis, we have a video too about that. So we will push the rook to e1, creating pressure on the pawn. Of course, if the pawn advances, now this is draw. We will give infinite checks. So this would be a terrible mistake for white. So what if rook checks? That's the idea. Because of the fact that we are creating pressure on the pawn, now we can play king d7 and the pawn cannot check, or else I'm going to take the pawn with the rook. So, for example, white has difficulties to advance with these pieces. For example, rook b7, we can just repeat. And if the king goes to e6, now we will always push our king to the short side. Important. This is the long side, this is the short side. So we want to push the king to f8. And if the rook gives check, we play king g7. And now, of course, this doesn't advances. And if he plays, for example, king d6, we will push the king to f7, and again, the pawn cannot advance, or else we are going to take. If he gives check, what will we play? Do you know? It's simple. We play king, even king e8 or king f8. I prefer to provoke my opponent. So king e8, what will you do? Nothing. This game is equal. It's complicated because of the strong position of the white king, but after you learn this pattern, you won't lose again this kind of position. I will continue with the pawn just to show, and now it's easy. Check, 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 and this game, it's completely equal. So, okay, we've already seen that the easiest positions are the positions where the king cannot isn't well placed, and the more advanced is the king or even the pawn, it will be more complicated to defend. So I have a few more positions to show you, and the next one, it isn't complicated, but you need to know the nuances. You need to be careful. So this position, in this position, we are playing with the black pieces, and white has played rook to c8. I'm going just to change the position, okay? And now you're playing with black. So here you have several ideas. Probably the best, and we will talk about that on another video. It's related to Vancouver, but well, later we talk about that. But my suggestion is just to play rook to a6. For example, if he pushes the rook, now, of course, we cannot take, because if we take, this game is lost, because he can promote the pawn. So here, instead of taking the rook, we have another idea. Another interesting idea, and prophylactic too. So we will push the rook to a5 to create some pressure to the pawn. The idea, it's similar to the other position we have seen. For example, if he gives check, we're going to push the king to g6, very important, because we are waiting for this advance. And after he advances, we are going to push the king to f6. And after this advance, we are going to do a very important move. Of course, this draws, and this move draws too. Because if the pawn advances, I take. And if he advances the king, I take too. So it's very important to be careful with these kind of positions. So I have 3 more positions for you to see today. So the next move, it's easier, but important too. We need to know that. So in these positions, in this position, sorry, we are playing with the black pieces too. So let's see. The last white move has been rook to a8. And now he is threatening to give check and win our rook. Here, we just have one move. The rest loses. And the move will be rook to h6. The idea is simple. We know that he will give check. And after that, we know that the best move for this king will be king to e8, because we want to have the king on the same place to prevent the pawn to promote. Now, of course, if he advances, we will push the rook and give infinite checks. And if and the importance of this move is that the king cannot play. And this is already an easy draw, because if he plays this, we play that. Easy stuff. The complicated move is to see that rook h6 goes to a Philidor position and prevents the advancing of the king. Very easy. Now, let's see the point of view of the attacker. Sometimes our opponents just don't know how to play the Philidor position. And how can we win the game? Well, I've put it 2 easy positions, but important, because you don't want to fail a victory, because, well, 4 or 5 hours after playing a game, you don't want to say that, oh, I was won, but okay, I draw because I don't know how to win games. So it's ugly to say that. So let's see. The first position is this one. How can we win this position? It's simple. It's simple. We want to push the rook to this square, a7. And the idea is that I will give check and I will win the rook. So if he plays that, okay, this is checkmate. It's over, because I'm controlling the squares in front of the king. And if he plays another thing, for example, king e8, I can just give check, take the rook, and advance the pawn. So I will promote the pawn and I will win. Well, because I know how to give checkmate with the king and queen against the king. Of course, if you still don't know how to give checkmate with king and queen against king, sorry, we will see this on another video, okay? The last position is a 1 position 2, where the black player didn't know how to draw. So here you're playing with white, and the plan is the same. So we're going to play rook to a7, and after, for example, king to b8, our pawn will help us to win the game. So we will play c7, and after the king goes to c8, now it's over. We will win the rook, and we will promote our pawn. So this is an easy victory. So today we talked about the Philidor position. If you want to learn more about endgames, I have several videos about that. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below if you enjoyed this video. Till tomorrow. Bye bye.